Hey, what's up, everybody? This is Charles Tabansi, and I want to welcome you guys to another episode of the Dreamerspro Show, where we cover everything from sports, hot topics, classic debates, entertainment, where we give you guys a fresh perspective on things and how we see them. And today we're going to be talking about the Clippers and some news that we got here today. But before we get into it, please make sure you like the video and subscribe to the channel. And as y'all know, I'm supporting the Clippers. I'm also a Kawhi Leonard fan. And about a week or so ago, Paul George suffered a scary injury. Went up for a rebound, landed awkwardly, and I think he ended up spraining his knee. At the time when it happened, a lot of us felt that it was worse, but then after that, we heard that after he got examined or got his MRI, we heard that he would be re-examined in the next 2 or 3 weeks. And the reason that came as bad news was because of currently where the NBA season is. If this happened in, I don't know, in January, a lot of us wouldn't be concerned. But now, if you look at the Western Conference standings, it's a very, very tight race. The Clippers, as we speak, I believe, are the number 5 seed behind the Phoenix Suns at the number 4 seed. And I think right behind them at the number 6 seed, then you have the Golden State Warriors. And they only have one less loss than a lot of these guys. So if they started dropping games in the absence of Paul George because he's a 24 point per game scorer, it would definitely hurt their chances of remaining competitive. So this morning I was doing some research here and I came across an audio from Shams, who basically released some news basically saying now that Paul George will only return to the Clippers after the first round. But before we get into his comments, this video is brought to you by sponsor Aura, who's also the official sponsor of the T-Wolves. Do you know what the fastest growing crime in America is today? It's identity theft. Imagine trying to log into your email only to see that your password has been changed. Then you start getting weird notifications from your bank and credit cards only to find out that all of your personal and sensitive information has been totally compromised. If you think it can happen to you and your family, just know that in 2020, over 49 million Americans were victims to identity theft, costing them a combined $56 billion. That is why we are excited to partner with Aura, who's the sponsor of this video. Aura is the #1 identity theft and financial fraud protection. Aura monitors the dark web and alerts you if any of your passwords and accounts have been breached. And funny enough, after using Aura, I discovered some of my credentials were floating around in the dark web, and the app showed me exactly when and where the breach happened. In addition, Aura allows you to set spending alerts and they'll notify you of any suspicious transactions. Aura is 4 times faster than any of its competitors in alerting you if someone is trying to open a credit card or obtain a loan using your name. And remember this, every 14 seconds someone becomes a victim of identity fraud. Don't let it happen to you. Now click the link in the description and try Aura for free for 2 weeks and see if any of you or your family's personal information has been compromised. Start your free trial at aura.com/dreamerspro. And when you try Aura, by using the link in the description below, also know that you're supporting this channel. Thank you. So what we want to do is we want to play exactly what Shams had to say here about the status of Paul George, and then we're going to come back and react to his comments. Take a listen to what he had to say there.
Yeah, so right now he's going to be rehabbing his knee sprain over the next 2 or 3 weeks. The Clippers believe, I'm told, that they're going to have to get out of at least the first round for a real window for Paul George to return. So, you know, maybe second round conference finals, you get out of the first round and you give yourself a chance to get Paul George back. We've seen in years past, injuries can derail playoff series. The Clippers a couple years ago went to the conference finals even after Kawhi Leonard suffered an ACL tear. So this team is accustomed to playing through injury. Thankfully, this wasn't any significant tear, any significant rupture, but Paul George is going to be out for an extended period of time, and you try to get out of the first round if you're the Clippers to give yourself a chance to get him back.
So you heard what Shams had to say there. Now here are my thoughts. As y'all know, the Clippers just recently played the Chicago Bulls. And the star of that game was not Kawhi Leonard. It was Nicholas Batum, who came off the bench, who they actually started. Nicholas Batum in that game shot 80% from the field on 8 of 10 shooting. He basically took 10 threes and made 8 of them. And he led the team in scoring. Of course, Kawhi Leonard chipped in 22 points. But in that game, they had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 Clippers in double figures. Bones Highland, he had 13 points. Mason Plumlee, who was a fantastic pickup for the team, a lot of energy, a big man. He had 10 points. Russell Westbrook chipped in 12 points, only 3 turnovers and 10 assists. Eric Gordon had 22 points. Ivica Zubac had 11 points and 7 rebounds. So the Clippers were able to get a balanced attack. Now that we know for a fact that Paul George will not be back before the playoffs begin, we now have to look at the Western Conference standings in the playoff picture, in the kind of the playoff picture right now. As I said, the Clippers are the number 5 seed. Behind them is the Golden State Warriors at the number 6 seed. And then, of course, you have the Timberwolves, and then you have the Pelicans, and then you have the Lakers. And then behind them, you have the Oklahoma City Thunder and the Dallas Mavericks. All of these teams who, with 1 or 2 wins or losses, these teams can move in or out of the playoffs. But the Clippers are separated between them and the play-in tournament. They're separated by 2 losses, right? So they kind of have that going in their favor. If I'm not mistaken, I believe the Clippers are going to be playing tonight, I believe, against the Chicago Bulls, if I'm not mistaken. They just played them, and I think they have a back-to-back with the Chicago Bulls. Let me see. The Clippers. Let me just verify. No, today they're going to be playing the Memphis Grizzlies. That's going to be a very tough matchup. But if they lose that game, I'm not sure if they have the tie on the Golden State Warriors, but I think they would either be the 6th seed. That would either drop them down to the 6th seed, or the lowest they would drop down to is the 6th seed, right? Now, if the playoffs were to start and let's say the Lakers get into the 8th spot, the Timberwolves stay where they are, the Warriors stay where they are, in the first round, the matchups would be Nuggets versus Lakers 1-8, Wolves versus Timberwolves 1-2 or 2-1, 7-2. Then you would have the Kings versus the Warriors, and you would have the Clippers versus the Phoenix Suns with Kevin Durant, who just came back. I'm not sure if they'll be able to win that series without Paul George. That would be a very, very tough ask of Kawhi Leonard and these guys. Although the Clippers have a very, very deep roster, and I think they're going to be getting Norman Powell back shortly, that would be a very, very difficult ask. So if I'm the Clippers, I'm also looking at the Western Conference standings and seeing what games I could potentially drop, because if they're going to play, I think the Clippers would have a chance in the first round against the Lakers with LeBron or without LeBron. I think they would probably have a chance against the Pelicans, although they're a very young team. They will probably be able to beat the Timberwolves in the first round. But if they're going to be playing a fully healthy Golden State Warriors, they would probably lose that series. That's just what I think. I could be wrong. I think if they played the Suns, they would lose that series. So if I'm the Clippers, the team I would want to face in the first round, if I don't move up, I would be looking to either face the Wolves, Pelicans, Lakers, Thunder, and that would be it. So this news is bad news, right? Because one thought that he could come right before the first round, come back right before the first round. But now that we're seeing that that's not going to be the case, according to what Shams just had to say, it's going to be a tough one. It's going to be a tough one, and it's going to be all hands on deck. Now, as I said before, thankfully, the Clippers have a very deep, very, very deep roster. They have a lot of players that can shoot close to 40% from the 3. If you look at their roster, you do have Kawhi, you do have Norman Powell, you do have Russell Westbrook, who had a beast mode game a few games ago. They do have Marcus Morris Sr., they do have Eric Gordon, they do have Terrence Mann, they do have Mason Plumlee, they lost Luke Kennard, and they do have Robert Covington, who's like a swingman, and then of course you have Nicholas Batum and Amir Kofi. So it's going to be a tough one. It's going to be a tough one. Losing that type of production from a 24 point per game score, or 25 point per game score, 6 rebounds, 5 assists, and also his defensive, the things he brings on the court defensively, and how he's also able to pressure defenses, is going to be tough. But that's just the cards that they were dealt. So these are my thoughts and opinions. Whatever you guys think, leave your thoughts in the comment section, and we catch you on the next show.